Euromaxx highlights. In today's show, center stage, fashion designer Christian Lacroix at the Opera in Berlin. Sailing in style, the riverboat with a Porsche design interior. Enduring appeal, the trench coat has never really been out of style. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Karen Helmstedt.
Hi there and welcome to our Highlights edition. And we kick off with a rather unique winter attraction about 30 kilometers south of Bern in western Switzerland. One that draws about 30,000 visitors every year and which is the product of a 73-year-old's boyish imagination. The ice palaces are like a deal between man and nature, and they've been a winter fixture there for 25 years.
When water freezes, it turns into ice. That can cause problems, but beauty can also be created out of it. Not just frozen forms, but entire palaces made of ice. Every winter, retired shoemaker Karl Neuhaus creates his own winter wonderland. Palm gardens and palaces made of ice, conceived and constructed by Karl Neuhaus. It's hard to imagine that most of it takes just 6 days to build, including the tallest palace, which is 15 meters high.
It's incredibly beautiful in this light, almost like a fairy tale.
Fast wie ein Märchen.
This frozen fairy tale world is open to the public during the day. This winter marks the ice world's 25th anniversary. Depending on the weather, it opens in November or December and closes at the end of March. Neuhaus has spent years experimenting with his ice garden. He even developed his own special garden hose and sprinkler system.
Es muss mehr Druck geben.
The water temperature is a critical factor.
I'm getting water from a small stream up the hill. Combined with some additional spring water, it's below 3 degrees Celsius. Ideal for making this kind of thing. And I don't have to worry about it freezing up.
A visit to the 50-metre by 150-metre park lasts around an hour. There are surprises around every corner, like this chapel made of ice. Karl Neuhaus closes the ice park at 9 each evening. Time to go home. But the water keeps on working the whole night long.
And back in Berlin, we make a stop at the famous State Opera Unter den Linden, where opera fans are in for a special visual kick in the newest production of Handel's Baroque opera Agrippina. None other than French couturier Christian Lacroix was recruited for the costume design, and he says for him, opera and his baby, haute couture, are very much the same. Extraordinary occasions that require extraordinary garments.
There's no one here.
With the premiere rapidly approaching, French fashion designer Christian Lacroix finally has a chance to see the singers in his costumes on stage. The master of haute couture designed stylish creations for the soloists in the Baroque opera Agrippina. Director Vincent Boussard asked for innovative but timeless designs. Christian Lacroix created 2 coats and 3 dresses for the Bulgarian soprano Alexandrina Pendachanska, who plays the lead role.
Great.
I feel great. I mean, how could you feel it? They're so beautiful. They're just perfect. They make you feel great. Even if you don't feel great inside, but when you put them on, you're immediately fantastic. And I feel privileged, very privileged to wear those costumes, really.
She has a perfect voice, not a flaw. And she's also beautiful. She acts, and at the same time remembers her lines. And then she knows every gesture, and does it all with genius. I respect her.
In November 2009, Christian Lacroix came to Berlin for the first fitting. He designed the costumes in Paris, but they were actually sewn together at their destination, the State Opera Unter den Linden in Berlin. The first designs were more flamboyant, but each fitting led to changes. Lacroix feels at home in the Baroque era, which has often inspired his fashions for the catwalk. His lush, theatrical creations have wowed the fashion world. He has a reputation for using lots of fabric and bright colors. The costumes in Berlin are very different, but Lacroix also sees them as haute couture.
Yes, we've made changes. For example, shedding details. What's similar here to haute couture is the perfection with which the master seamstresses have worked. I could present this on the catwalk. It's a dress that a woman in New York could wear to a cocktail party. And all these fittings, you only have that in haute couture.
Lacroix has more freedom when creating costumes for the stage. The fabrics needn't always be expensive and luxurious.
Things like this thrill me. This was a simple, cheap plaid material. We just lacquered it and made it something special. It's always the little things. I really love it.
In future, if you want to see Christian Lacroix's haute couture creations, you'll have to go to the theater, ballet, or opera. He says he'd like to return to Germany, perhaps to the opera stage in Cologne.
A riverboat trip in Europe may offer fantastic views outside, but the interiors of the vessels you travel on often leave a bit to be desired. Well, we're about to meet two party organisers from Regensburg who set about changing that, and they got the Porsche design studio on board to launch a revamped party riverboat called Catwalk, which can now be seen cruising the Danube from the Austrian capital, Vienna.
A party is in full swing on board the Catwalk, a luxury floating club. Partygoers dance the night away behind darkened windows on the lower and middle decks. This is not a run-of-the-mill boat trip. The morning before the party, Johannes Büchner and Michael Gössel go on board. The two party hosts from Regensburg are in their late 20s and the proud owners of the Catwalk.
We always dreamt of having our own ship. Water is a fascinating element, and traveling on it on board a ship is a very special experience. Ships have fascinated us since we were very young, and now we've fulfilled this dream.
And what a dream. 900 square meters of pure elegance spread across 3 decks with room for up to 450 people. Büchner and Gössel spent years developing the idea of a floating club. As members of the famous Regensburg Cathedral Boys Choir, they organized parties for classmates on rented boats. After college, they decided to turn their hobby into a profession, but most leisure boats proved poorly suited.
They were conceived for older people, for afternoon excursions. The typical boats that go down the Danube. Felt carpets, wooden ceilings, and very, very rustic walls.
We had to lease the bars, the furniture, sofas, sound and light equipment. It was always a tremendous effort and expense.
They decided to buy a ship and remodel it to suit their ideas of how a club should be. And a year ago, they found the Renata II, a cozy but somewhat square excursion boat, and turned it into the chic catwalk. They had to take out a 7-digit loan to buy and remodel the boat. Not so easy in the middle of a global financial crisis.
The first bank we went to sent us away after 2 minutes. They thought we were crazy, and some of the people that know us thought so too.
But they persevered and found some wealthy sponsors who believed in their dream. The next question was, who should design the club?
We had no idea. Then we heard in the car that Porsche is bringing out a new line of sunglasses. And we said, hey, that would be something if Porsche Design would take on our ship.
And it worked. The design agency that created classics like the Porsche 911 joined the project. The studio is renowned for its functional form language, tackling everything from clocks to kettles. But turning an aging excursion boat into an elegant club was something new for the design professionals.
For us, it was a very challenging project from the very beginning. We were very happy that they decided to completely redo the interior of the whole ship. And it was a fantastic thing to apply our design language to an entire object like this, to a project of this size.
And it was a lot of work, because just a few months ago, the boat here looked like this. Little of the Renata II remained after remodeling. The new luxury has its price. The rent is 8,000 euros an evening. Today, the club boat is cruising from its berth in Vienna to a nearby town. Michael Gössel and Johannes Büchner are throwing an on-board party. They have every reason to celebrate. Their idea has paid off. They've already staged many parties. Queries are coming in from Moscow to Monaco, and Gössel and Büchner are already planning a catwalk too.
Well, it seems every day brings another snowfall to Germany this winter, and that's good news for sled fans, except, of course, that most of the traditional sleds are actually sold out. But there are modern alternatives. So we sent our reporter Matthias Stamm to professional luge country down in Berchtesgaden in southern Germany to try out the newest generation of sliding equipment.
The mountain view might be obscured by clouds, but these sledders aren't in Berchtesgaden for the scenery. It's all about the kilometer-long toboggan run. Our reporter is a regular here, and he still uses a wooden sled just like he did as a child.
When it comes to tobogganing, this is the classic sled. The DeVoe sled is named after the city in Switzerland where the first sled event was held. And nowadays there are plenty of new models on the market, and I want to know if they're really any better than this good old wooden model.
Matthias is here to test 4 new designs. At first glance, he only sees 2 that are made to handle the rocky ride from the hilltop to the valley below. Josef Lenz will help rate the sleds. He was a European luge champion who went on to coach the German team for nearly 30 years. Together, Lenz and Matthias examine the options.
So what do you think about those sleds?
You can sled with any of them. But there's no universal sled that runs well on every surface. And there are types of sled runs too. Hills, trails, ski runs. You can sled down ski runs, but only when it's not too steep.
Josef Lenz shows Matthias the various sledding positions. The former professional is positively surprised by the first sled.
It's slightly flexible, and that makes it easier to steer. It has good runners, and they're somewhat curved here. So the entire sled is easier to turn.
Our reporter is on his way. Josef Lenz will wait at the bottom while Matthias rides the first test model down. Safety first, a helmet and ski goggles, and he's away. The aluminum sled has a shock absorber under the seat. It's a fast ride down a very bumpy hill.
Prima.
Oh, great, great. This sled is extremely fast. I really had the feeling I have no control sometimes.
Small plastic sleds like this one are a favorite of children. There's no technique here, just sit down and hold on. Matthias shifts his weight to steer the sled in the right direction. It's much faster than he expected.
Good. Bravo.
I just had some time to think, and I asked myself, who invented sleds?
Well, sleds were originally used as a mode of transportation. The stones for the pyramids in Egypt were actually transported by wooden sleds.
Really, in the desert?
Instead of sun and sand, our reporter gets clouds and snow. The next model resembles the one most sledding professionals use in competitions. This airbag sled is the least traditional of all. Matthias holds on tight to two harnesses to stay on. And it works well. It's very fast and the viewpoint is low to the ground, a real adrenaline rush.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It feels a little like wakeboarding, and it's a totally cool feeling. Being so close to the snow, and it's just like flying.
The padding was the key. Our reporter didn't feel the bumps at all.
Looking at those new models, you may have the impression that the times of the good old wooden sled are over. And as different as they are, they have two things in common. They are extremely fast, plus they are very, very much fun.
For Matthias, nothing can replace the Davos, so he and Josef Lenz saved the last run of the day for the wooden sled that stood the test of time.
And now it's over to Greece to meet up with one of that country's best-known contemporary sculptors. 55-year-old Costas Varotsos is not that easy to classify as he avoids artistic trends, and he's just as happy working in the figurative as in the abstract. Well, his works have been featured 3 times at the Venice Biennale, and their effect is usually as impressive as their size.
The works by Greek artist Costas Varotsos lie somewhere between sculpture, landscape design, and architecture. Glass plays a major role in Varotsos' trademark creations. Glass means transparency, and it's a crucial element to the artist.
Glass gives you the possibility of occupying the space, so your eyes and the light pass through this material. And also the glass is not a technical material, is a mineral. It has also a very intense energy like material.
This sculpture is one such energy-laden creation. It's 14 meters tall and weighs 17 tons. A giant made of glass fragments with a deceptively chaotic appearance. Located in the heart of Athens is the artist's most famous work. Athenians know it by the name The Runner.
I had in my mind the concept of the stranger, of somebody that passed through a space and leave always the memory of him. It's a kind of ghost of the town, and this ghost has to represent also the continued movement of the city.
Varotsos always incorporates people's wishes when designing a public space or changing existing structures. The artist completely redesigned this square in one of Athens' poorer neighborhoods. Residents played an active part in the transformation.
I organize meetings in the city with collaboration with the mayor, and I try to involve in this creative process also the people. What is the story, the history of the square, how they live the square, what they want about the square, what they dream about that. Because you know that the public space is the extension also of our private space.
His current exhibition, Utopia, is on display at Athens' Eugenides Foundation. The works address the secrets of outer space. Planetary nebulae are depicted as a crystalline labyrinth. And colored lumps of glass represent meteorites, solving the mysteries of the universe as a dream and utopia of humankind.
The feeling of out of space is today utopic, is the maximum of the utopia. Utopia is important because we lose this feeling today. Utopia is the feeling of the move forward, to go on, to believe in the impossible.
The harbor on the island of Aegina is also home to one of the artist's creations. This glass gateway in a steel frame incorporates a recurring design motif for Varotsos. The sculptor lives and works on Aegina, a 90-minute ferry journey from Athens. He doesn't actually create his larger sculptures on the island. Varotsos first designs and creates smaller-scale models in his studio there. 6-meter-high versions of these pillars will stand in northern Greece.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Aegina is home to an ancient Greek temple, seemingly a stark contrast to the artist's own work. Yet Varotsos often draws on classical traditions for his spatial designs.
There is a magical triangle that is between this temple, Acropolis, Parthenon, and another temple. Is not only create space, but is also to be part of the real space of the planet. So to have a kind of energetical connection with everything around. In all this, I follow, of course, the way that the ancient Greeks, they work.
The runner statue also develops a magical effect at night. The lights of the city are reflected in the glass-winged spirit, almost like a signal from an alien spaceship preparing to take off.
Well, finally, we're looking forward to spring in our next report. And when we finally pack away our parkas, it seems we may be reaching for a trench coat. A fashion classic for both spring and fall. The trench has never really been away, but this year it is set to take centre stage.
Whether it's Paris, Milan, or London, fashion designers everywhere agree Spring-Summer 2010 is all about the trench coat. The classic design, or reinvented with colorful buttons, or even made of leather. Corinna Thiel, lifestyle editor of the German edition of Elle magazine, knows why the classic is making fashion headlines.
The trench coat is simply a garment that reflects the zeitgeist. It's so versatile. You can wear it morning to night and combine it with practically anything, which is one reason why clients are looking to classic items again. The trench is something many designers are recommending because it's an investment that will last for many seasons.
For Berlin designer Bernadette Penkoff, the trench is a must-have in her collection for the coming season. Her label, Penkoff, is known for its trench coats, and at this year's Berlin Fashion Week, she made a big splash with them. Its contoured tailoring makes the cotton coat a challenge for a designer. But what exactly is a trench?
It's always a light coat. There are details, like the shoulder flaps, that keep coming back. They simply belong there. Then the arm flaps, and often these side pockets that you can reach into. The belt is really important. No belt, no trench.
The trench coat was originally designed for British soldiers to wear in the trenches during the First World War. Gabardine, a water-resistant fabric, was invented and then patented by the Englishman Thomas Burberry in 1888. After the war, Burberry's coat left the trenches behind to become a fixture in everyday life. Burberry still relies heavily on its classic lines, as the current adverts with British actress Emma Watson show. It even has its own online fan site where users can immortalize themselves with a Burberry coat on the internet.
The Burberry trench coat is definitely a style icon, and when a style icon is especially vivid, it naturally finds its followers and fans. There are various models and colors, and everyone can find one that suits them. That's one reason why an icon like this survives. Each new generation can use it differently and make it look new.
So if you're looking to be on the cutting edge of fashion this spring, all you need is a trench coat, the garment that never goes out of style.
Before we go, a quick reminder that you can find our Euromaxx highlights on YouTube. And with that, it's time for me to sign off. So until we meet again, take good care and auf Wiedersehen.